What's up, everybody? It's your boy GQ. I got Boulevard with me, aka Thunder Thighs, and we got a special guest today, Mark Coles of the Eye Test. We're going to leave a description and a link to their page so you can go and look at their stuff. Outside of that, we got a great episode. Welcome to Live from the Bench. So the Eagles, they had a win last week. We had the Eagles won. They beat the Jaguars this past week, but it wasn't a pretty one. Well, it was at one point, but we're going to discuss a few things. So that win, the Eagles beat the Jaguars. And I don't think it was the most positive win. It wasn't a sexy win. You know what I mean? It didn't make me happy. And then you see a lot of things that just was like pissing me off through the whole game. And we're going to get into that. But we saw a lot of great things from a lot of people stepping up and actually putting it out there that they're better than what a lot of people thought they were, or just showing who the hell they are. Like, you can't just, forget about me. So that's one of the things I talk about.
Can I interject for a second?
Say again?
Can I interject for a second?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, well, I heard you say it wasn't a sexy win, and I liken that to a night drinking with your one night stand. A few drinks in, she really sexy. You wake up the next morning, not so much. You like, oh, you without the makeup is not what it's hitting for. And
that's called a coyote ugly.
That's what this win reminded me of. Like, it started out great. You was like, "Oh, I got a winner here. We looking great." And then you like, "Oh, okay, no, not so much." By the fourth quarter, you like, "Oh, this is what we doing out here. This is what it looks like." So, yeah, man, not really necessarily.
Yes, that was a very great analogy. It was actually very funny too. It was a coyote ugly of a win.
Mm-hmm.
What about you, Ballard? Do you have any thoughts about the win in itself?
I'm happy we got a win. I mean, we all saw how it could have fallen apart. I mean, we all know who's responsible. I'm sure we'll talk about that at some point. But we all saw how that could have just completely collapsed, being up 22-0, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, if it wasn't for that fourth quarter, what's his name, Kobe saving the damn day, this could have been a disaster, and we could have been talking a whole different story, talking about it's time for Sirianni to go. It's time for everybody to go. It's a fire sale. Let's move some players. That would be the narrative. So, yeah, I mean, I guess I'll take the win because it's a win.
Yeah, it's funny that you did say that because I don't know if we're not saying those things anymore. I think even with the win, like I feel like we can go 15-2, and I think we'll still be thinking the same things. Because I don't feel like I feel like a Super Bowl win can't fix the problems that we're having right now. Like, we not necessarily can't fix the problems, but I don't think Eagles can go all the way to the Super Bowl, and I feel like we'll still be having the same issues and same talking points because I feel like those issues are still going to be there. So, but it's a part of the conversation for later.
Okay.
Next, I want to talk about Saquon Barkley. It's been one of those things. I'm a big run the ball guy. And it's funny because I was a receiver for a very long time, the DB. So I love the passing game, and I don't like tackling running backs. But running backs, like I feel like running backs are more important than they're supposed to be, or more important than they're treated. And I feel like the Eagles actually going out there and getting a running back was like big for this team.
Running backs are making a comeback.
Yeah.
Yes. One thing that we was talking about on our show for a while is how we were expecting and waiting for this resurgence of the running back because every defense has moved to the nickel style defense and has moved to protect the pass. Well, when you go to those smaller linebackers and you go to the faster defensive linemen and all that, you lose that oomph to be able to stop the run. And now you are seeing directly cause from that when you got the big power backs like Saquon and Derrick Henry. There's nothing you can do about it. They're gonna get their yards and you're gonna have to sit back and watch.
Right. Because everybody's been prepared to stop like Mahomes and Burrow and all these big arm quarterbacks, but like you just said, I mean, now the opposite is ringing true since everybody's built to do that. Now you got to counter that, counter the nickel, and you counter the nickel with power. So you run more smash value, you run it up, yeah. What you said.
Yeah. I love to see a running back in Philadelphia because I don't remember like last time we had like a solid running back. I mean, yeah. Miles Sanders got 1,000 yards, but it took forever.
All over a decade, really. Like Shady,
Shady, and Brian were like the last guys to do it. I don't even consider like Miles Sanders and Deontay Smith. I feel like they were like flukes. I'm not a fan of those guys. I wasn't really a fan of Sanders the entire time he was here. And DeAndre Swift, I was waiting for him to get injured. Like
fun fact about Miles Sanders is that one of the main reasons the Eagles, in my opinion, got Miles Sanders was because he was the backup behind Saquon Barkley at Penn State. And then he had that one season at Penn State, and they was like, well, they were pretty much chasing Saquon Barkley. And now for Saquon to end up on his team, it's just like a full circle moment. So
yeah. We got who we were supposed to have the whole time.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He belongs here.
What are your thoughts?
He'll be offensive player of the year. I mean, like you said, you were waiting for Swift to get injured. I've been kind of waiting for it to happen with Saquon. Because, I mean, we all know he's got a reputation.
Yeah.
And there's not really a backup plan in place for if he goes down. So that could potentially be a major hazard that we're facing later in the season when we need the run game at its strongest because it's cold.
So you don't think Shipley and Gainwell can hold it down?
Do you?
Absolutely. But here's my issue with Gainwell has nothing to do with Gainwell. My issue with Gainwell is how he's overvalued by the team because they like him. Because he is a good backup, but he is completely overvalued because he's well liked, and that bothers me. But that goes to the conversation later, which is the coach and how they run things there. The good old boy system, for those that have been in the military, know hey, you could be trash, but if somebody like you, you're going to elevate. And that's pretty much what's happening here. The situation, Gainwell's still around, being able to do certain things. Speaking to last year, there was no reason whatsoever he should have been getting 40% or 45% of snaps.
That's ridiculous.
That it was ridiculous last year. And a lot of times it hurt what Swift was able to do. I do think that we're better off now, but Swift could have been so much more if they just lessened Gainwell's role, which they refused to do last year. They were kind of forced to do that now this year because you subbing out Saquon, you look absolutely crazy. So they were forced to lessen Gainwell's role.
Yeah. I agree with that.
How could you not?
All right. Let's move on to Devontae Smith. Devontae Smith had another catching passes, playing like he doesn't play like his size at all, and that's something that like is crazy to me. Like he is small as hell, but he makes a lot of catches in traffic, and I feel like the fact that you know he can do that makes it easier on AJ Brown. Because I don't know, does Devontae Smith as good as he is because if he has AJ Brown on the other side,
It helps.
Or is AJ Brown that good because he has Devontae Smith on his side? Because you can't sleep on either side. So is it like, or it's just like a great compliment? I don't know.
I
It's
I think it's just I think it's just a great compliment, personally. Like I look at because let's not forget Devontae is a Heisman winner, right?
Yeah.
Like and Devontae, I mean Slim Reaper is his nickname for a reason. This dude is skinny, but I've never seen the durability on a skinny person as much as him. Like, you know what I mean? Like the dude is like he takes a hit. Like that was a big concern of mine was how small he is. I was like, this dude's gonna get hurt at some point when it coming into the NFL. But then I seen him take those big hits and pop right back up. I was like, I don't know, man. This dude is something different. Like he must have got adamantium attached to those bones because some things ain't breaking. And he does seem to put on like that father muscle a little bit because you know him having a daughter and now look you see that commercial where he goes into the tub and it's like there's muscle on that on top of that skinny build these days. So he's different and I think if the team would just uh call better routes for him or just highlight those routes where he is doing the in routes and the drags. If that was maybe more so the highlighted route, it doesn't have to be the first option, but if that was the second option in the route, you know, in the route tree, then I think you would see a lot more from him. But as of right now, it seems like he's always ends up being the third or fourth look most times.
Hmm. I like that. What about you, Boulevard? Thunder Thighs.
Huh?
What about you, Thunder Thighs?
Yeah, I was off on one thing. I was sitting there looking at this crap on Twitter. What are we discussing?
Devontae Smith.
Hell of a catch. Those like what was that the touchdown and the catch before the touchdown?
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing. When he came all the way across the field on that one, that was beautiful.
Yeah.
Then two plays later with the touchdown.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that shit was chef's kiss.
Can I ask you guys something?
Yes.
How impressed were you really with the Garrett Wilson catch?
Oh, it was nice in the moment.
Yeah, it wasn't nothing for me to write home about because, I mean, honestly, I thought he had his feet were up, but you know, I can't keep. I mean, I don't know, but I feel like everybody is making these one-handed grabs. It's just not as
there's a training in there now.
Yeah, I don't think it's not as cool as it was back when Odell did it. I feel like everybody's doing that now, so it's not really impressive anymore. I mean, it was good to see him make that catch in traffic because, you know, it's one of those things we haven't seen him. Like, I haven't seen him do that yet, you know, make those high contested catches. So getting to see him make those was cool to see, but it wasn't as it wouldn't make my top 10.
All right, thank you. I appreciate that because me personally, I mean, I might be being a homer, but Devonta, his catch was a lot more impressive to me than that Garrett Wilson catch,
Mm-hmm.
and
absolutely,
and the Odell Beckham catch. Like, I know that people are chasing the clickbait thing, and it's like they're trying to compare Odell's catch to Garrett Wilson's catch. And I'm like, bro, it's not even comparable. Odell's catch is way better because I'm looking at it and I'm like, I don't even understand why Garrett Wilson caught the ball and then went to turn around. Like, catch the ball, put it into your chest, and just put your feet on the ground. That's all you had to do.
Yeah.
Like, but you caught it, turned yourself around and risked going out the back of the end zone. And in my opinion, that wasn't a catch. I feel like the refs gave it to him because they wanted the Jets to get it. But
Yeah.
like, I'm like, dog, your knee is clearly on the jaw. Like, what are we doing? And they like, but no, they calling a catch. And I'm like, Odell, when he caught it, he reached all the way back with while contested and made sure both feet touched in and just let himself fall. And with the Devonta thing, like there was no more room left at all.
Yeah.
And he basically ripped it from going out of bounds into his chest and made sure he dragged his feet across. Like I'm like, Doug, you guys are inflating that Garrett Wilson catch. It's not that.
It was. I agree with you 100%. Boulevard, you got any thoughts? That Garrett Wilson catch.
Garrett Wilson had perfect position to make that catch. Like, dude was behind him. All he had in front of him was space in the ball. So he should have made the catch. The fact that he get to go to such lengths to catch it. Hey, I mean, it was a hell of a catch, but nothing impressive in this day and age.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd go so far as to say the Jahan Dotson catch was more impressive. So
that was yeah.
That's just me.
He climbed.
Nice catch, all it was. If I'm not mistaken, won the game for him. Nice catch. Nice. It'll go down in history for the Jets. They did something right for a change, but it don't compare.
No. I love it. I love it. Next on my list, AJ Brown is injured, and again this season, which is it definitely leaves the Eagles in a position that they actually have to. Everybody else has to show up. It may not be injured. It may not be serious. He may be back next week. However, the eyes are, if he's not back, how does this affect the Philadelphia Eagles? Or does it affect them at all?
All right. Well, for me, I'm going to say that it does. I'm going to say that it doesn't affect them for next week simply because of the position that Dallas finds themselves in. Dallas now finds themselves having to start Cooper Rush, having like CD hurt. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like they got so much going on over there. There's absolute, like, if the Eagles lose this, fire everybody. Like, because this should not be a thing. So if you're gonna not have AJ, and I would prefer to have him, but if you're going to not have him, this couldn't be a better teed up game for you.
I agree with that. Boulevard?
Oh, I'm looking into this Dak Prescott injury. This was the first thing I heard about the swollen hand. I didn't know he hurt his hamstring.
Yeah, he had a messed up hand and a hamstring injury.
Yeah, so at least 4 weeks.
That changes a lot.
Yeah.
And Dak already said it. Like, we don't have to say it.
Cowboys should probably look into tanking realistically.
See,
I mean, they shouldn't have gave Dak the
money.
That's the part right there. Shouldn't have gave Dak the money.
Mm-hmm.
They were already taking.
No, they were just trash. Now they tank.
Yeah, you gotta tank. Your quarterback, yeah, because they about to go 0-4 for because Cooper Rush ain't gonna do it. Cooper Rush gonna go for the picks.
What's the Cowboys' future schedule looking like? Eagles, Commanders, Giants, Bengals. 1, 2. That's 3 losses in a row for Dallas.
Yeah.
Eagles, Texans, Giants. Yeah, it's over.
To the Giants too. That can't do.
Bengals. Yeah.
No, I was just saying about the AJ Brown injury. I would honestly, like, they saying that it's just is a sprain.
Yeah, he's fine.
If he is needed, like I would prefer that he plays, but like if it's going to risk something else happening, then don't play. But like my ego and toxic brain is saying, dog, if you don't put a copper sleeve over that knee and get your butt out there, like I just
Right?
want you to I just want you to play and get out there. Like they say it works for old man. I see Jerry Rice putting on copper sleeves playing flag football. You better throw a copper sleeve on that and get out there, bro.
Yeah,
Right.
I put on a copper sleeve to go coach football. So copper sleeve to go play it for $1 million.
Oh yeah, sign me up.
All right, somebody who's been probably my surprise of the year is Zach Bond, and I feel like Philadelphia Eagles fans are definitely regretting the way they treated him on the first open practice of the year, where I was there. And when they were announcing the players on the team, Zach Bond came up on the screen and they said, Zach Bond. And it was quiet, crickets. Nobody cheered because nobody knew who he was. I bet you everybody who's a Philadelphia Eagle fan today knows exactly who Zach Bond is. Zach Bond went out there, and he's been doing it every week, just playing like a man possessed. Like, I am definitely the player that they thought I was.
He's 11th in NFL in tackles.
He's 11th.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
He's doing
Didn't know
it.
that.
Yeah, he's been doing like, and my thing is, he's a former special teamer who's playing like he belongs there. It's like every time I saw a tackle in the open field, he was right there. Like nobody was getting past him. He was getting open field tackles, and that has been a big issue for the Eagles for a while. So,
Open field tackle.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's been a big issue for the Eagles. Like, oh my god, I hated it for the past few years. Nakobe Dean. Nakobe Dean basically secured the game for the Eagles because I feel like that ball was thrown a little bit shorter. The Eagles lose that game. They lose. But Nakobe Dean made sure that they didn't get another chance by intercepting that ball. So big ups to him. He played a solid game.
What you mean is if a better quarterback had thrown that ball, it would have been a different story.
Exactly. Because, Trevor Lawrence is dog shit.
Well, I do want to give a little bit of credit, a little bit more credit to Nakobe Dean in that situation because I do think, like, I didn't watch the highlight, but so many times, but I do believe that that the receiver tried to like get physical with him at first, like he tried to bump him, and Nakobe Dean didn't move. And like that's kind of what put the receiver out of position was because he tried to bump him, and Nakobe was like solid as a rock and jumped up for the ball, where the receiver ended up being the person being moved out the way. So like, I mean, I could be misremembering it as well because, like I said, I only
You
watched
remembered it the right way.
Yeah,
that's the thing. Like a lot of people, yes, he's short. And that's something that a lot of people we speak on about Nakobe Dean. He's short, 5'10", 5'11".
Yeah.
However, he's a stocky 5'10", 5'11". He's 5'10", 5'11", 230, 240 in that area. So he's not like a little guy. He's short, but he's a built short. So and that's why I want to like give credit to him for that play because the ball was like he had to actually stretch himself out to make that catch, being that short guy. So I mean, he secured that win. Like all the chatter of me, like I'm not saying the same things I was saying about Nakobe Dean a few years ago, last year even. I was saying that he was garbage. I was saying that he was trash. I'm not saying that this year because he's taken the opportunities that he's got and actually ran. He's improved a lot.
Georgia kids are.
Huh?
All the Georgia kids are improving.
Yeah.
This is a young, solid defense now.
Yeah. I would say one thing about like one thing about Nakobe is that I'm very glad that he was able to make a coverage play because I expect to see him on the sacks. I expect him to see the sideline to sideline tackles and all that because that's what he was doing in Georgia. But him making a coverage play is incredible to me. And in fact, the fact that he was on the outside, like I was like, why was he even out there? Like how did he end up on the outside? Like what happened? I was like, what happened in this defensive setup that the middle linebacker is lined up on the outside receiver? Like
Mhm.
what was I watching there? But I was like, all right, like he made the play and it clearly worked. So all right,
Yes.
I'm with it.
Yeah, I like that. All right, I want to move on to the next topic, and it is Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts has been playing well. I think it was the last few games he's thrown 12 touchdowns, no interception. I could be wrong. That number could be different, but he's thrown no interceptions, and
Right.
I think that's like big for him because he's thrown the ball significantly less. But I'll credit Saquon there. I'll also say that's a lot of play calling on Kellen Moore's part. Even though you see Nick Sirianni button his head in, we'll talk about that later because everything's going to seem like it's going to keep ending up us talking about it, but we're going to get to that because I got something.
Yeah.
But I feel like Jalen Hurts is starting to get better at certain things. He's starting to understand what he's supposed to be doing, and not having Kelsey to basically baby step him through the whole thing and basically be his crutch. I feel like he's improving a lot as a quarterback, and I'm just happy to see it. It's good to see it.
Well, yeah, it's absolutely good to see. And one thing that you mentioned Kelsey, and I want to bring this up because it's been heavy on my heart, and we're going to talk about it in our episode of the show. I really don't want to see the tush push no more without Kelsey. Like, dog, I'm over. Like this John is like what, like 60% successful now. Like it went from 98% success rate to like 60%. Like without Kelsey, I don't want to see that no more. And like you said, we're going to get into it, like with calling it and Nick Sirianni and what he's doing, but like I want to see it in spots, but I don't want to see it in the frequency that they're doing it
Yeah,
currently because it's not the same without Kelsey putting both hands into the dirt and digging underneath. Like I don't know what's going on. Maybe whatchamacallit missed that class when Kelsey was teaching it, but like he not doing the tush push or the brotherly shove the way Kelsey was doing it,
yeah,
like, and it's not working.
Yeah, it looks much more difficult to where they're doing it now.
yeah.
Like
And I think
before,
it
it was almost a sure thing. Like you knew how that was going to look, how it was going to play out. Now it's a little more, what's the word? A scatterbrain, I guess. Like it doesn't have the same flow to it. Doesn't have this. You can tell it's not the same line.
Yeah,
yeah,
In comfort level, not the same togetherness.
right,
Together, like it's not like the team is running to play or comfortable running to play like they were before. The people out there see like Dean, even though he's been shining. I mean, it just doesn't seem like the newer players are as up to speed on the intricacies of the tush push.
right. And Cam Jurgens is the center's name. I blanked earlier, but Cam
yeah.
Jurgens, like it really does feel like he missed that class. Like I got to go back and watch specifically, like down the sideline. But like there was much talk always about the way that Jason Kelsey did that particular play because he had both hands in the dirt when he hiked the ball. And I always looked at that and thought it was interesting because I was like, okay, that gives you leverage to like scoop underneath and take the guy in front of you, just take his legs out, and now he doesn't have anything to give to stop anything.
Yeah.
And it seems like that's what is lacking in my opinion just from observation, because now you're actually seeing resistance and there, and now it's like an actual back and forth there, and it's like, dog, like maybe Jason needs to stop smashing phones and come back and teach you how to do this properly, because something ain't clicking.
I think he should smash more phones. I loved it.
Absolutely.
Well, I stand with Kelsey there.
I think
Yeah.
we do.
I wouldn't mind saying that the tush push needs to be decreased quite a bit, because I feel like it's a Nick Sirianni thing, and I feel like we just gotta. I mean, use Saquon, like, and you're not seeing him use that.
Right. That's what he's there for.
And what was crazy is because last week you saw them put Van Sumeren in at fullback, which he said he could play that position very well. Why aren't we using it? I didn't see that at all this week. And if you got somebody that's willing to play the position, let them do it. Because I think that's something that you need to use that fullback. And I feel like they're trying to be cute with a lot of plays, and that shit's got to stop. Because if you're gonna, because like what you saw was, you see where the Devontae's swinging out on the tush push, they just didn't even acknowledge that because they knew he wasn't going to throw it. So
Right.
I say once or twice, actually attempt it, even if the play, even if you got to overthrow them, just try it. But then again, when it comes to that 4th and 1 or 4th and inches, like, if you're getting stopped, stop leaving so much points on the board. They were leaving too much points. So
I mean, you got a 235-pound running back there. Just give him the damn ball.
yeah.
We see what happens when you give him the ball. We win.
Yeah.
It's not complicated.
All
If
right.
A equals win, then do win. Then do A.
Yeah.
So,
And speaking of overcomplicating in the NFL, is how NFL quarterbacks have not been developing the same way over the years. And I don't know and it's not just in Philadelphia, it's the league, it's the entire league. Because I remember there were years when you'd have a quarterback come in, like a star quarterback would get injured, and you had a guy that step in and will win you games for a while. Because I'm not sure who went down, but Jesse Palmer stepped in and actually won some games. Fucking Trent Dilfer did the same thing. He came in and won some games. And it's like, what? Like, everybody doesn't have to be a star, but they have some type of talent, and they were actually able to study. We don't see that anymore because they don't have coaches that are actually teaching quarterbacks. I mean, what's the problem there? What do you guys think the problem might be with the lack of development in QBs? You guys tell me what you think.
I'll let him go. I'll let you go first.
Oh, thanks. I think that it's a microwave process. I think it's like everybody is looking for the we need it right now. Everything is, in my opinion, everything is so media and it's so media driven. Everybody wants that, like, that thing that they can show off to the public, that shiny new toy, that thing that is going to bring in sponsorships, that like you, all those things. They're looking at everything but how to build a winning program, and so it creates a microwave process when it comes to these quarterbacks. And they like, oh, okay, this dude had one good season in college. Grab him. I know he needs to learn things, but grab him and throw him out there because he's
Trey
going to
Lance.
bring eyes to our program. And it's like, what are we doing? Like, that's not what's supposed to be happening here, you know? And it's the same. And in college, you have boosters to please and all these other things. And it's the same problem that basketball has or has had, where now you're no longer learning basketball and learning how to be a better player. You're learning a program. You're learning how to play within this system, and you're not learning how to play. You're learning how to play within this system. and you're not really, it's not really expounding on your natural talents or teaching you the next level. It's more so it's more so teaching you this program so we can win games and we can garner more money through sponsorships. And now it's trickling down the greater product, which is the NFL, because you're getting guys that haven't learned anything at the previous level.
Right. I mean, for example, of them not developing players. Look how long it took Geno Smith to become a starting caliber quarterback. What, 7 years of development?
Baker Mayfield as well.
Baker Mayfield. There you go. It's like,
yeah,
it takes time for these quarterbacks to develop. But when you draft a quarterback in the first round nowadays, it's just like, I mean, you're clearly a bad team, but coaches are so scared for job security that they want to rush everything, rush the process. They want to have quarterbacks that you just drafted out there. You want to have him out there in game 4 of his career. He doesn't know what's going on yet. He's not ready. You have to have it takes time to develop. Like, it takes time to catch up to the speed of the league. It takes time to know what you're seeing. It takes time to have the chemistry with your receivers, with your line. These aren't things you can just force straight out of the gate. Like, it doesn't matter how good the quarterback is, they're not going to be ready that early in their career. It takes time. You have to invest time in the quarterback's development. Go through the fundamentals and so forth to make sure that he knows what he's doing physically, that to the point that it's just muscle memory, to the point that he can see what the other side of the ball is doing, that he can read the defense, that he knows where to check down is, he knows the progressions, he knows all of this shit. You're not taking the time to teach quarterbacks this anymore. It's it seems to me, more of a first read kind of system. Like, this guy here, and you make that play. If not, then you make that play. It's like it's that simplified, because we're using quarterbacks who are coming out of similarly simple systems in college. That's why Deshaun Watson's best years were playing the same system he had in college. No one ever took the time to build him up to this level, to the NFL level. That's why all these rookies aren't developing. It's because the people who aren't teaching them, they're not investing the time necessary to teach them. They're just throwing them into the fire as soon as the starter looks terrible. And that's not how you're going to win. That's going to break the quarterback. E.J. Manuel, they threw him out there too early, then they benched him. He was never the same. There's like numerous examples around the league of them rushing quarterbacks to be out there before they're ready and ruining their careers.
Absolutely.
You have to invest time and actual energy into teaching these players to be quarterbacks. That's why you drafted them so high, because you want them there for 10, 12, 14 years. So you have to invest that time in these quarterbacks.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%.
To piggyback on your example, Peyton Manning took him like 3 years before he became the elite Peyton Manning that we all know. Peyton Manning was an interception machine his first couple years in the NFL.
Troy Aikman was trash his first season. It takes time.
Well, I think we all know that it all falls down on coaching, which leads us to the feature presentation.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the main event of the evening.
I like that.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we are talking about the Eagles head coach and the headline of today's episode. My question was, are the Eagles losing by winning with Nick Sirianni? And the reason why I asked that question is because we all know the problems that are occurring in Philadelphia are mainly due to the coach trying to be too cute, trying to overrule the entire operation, and just not willing to take accountability. I want to get you guys' thoughts on it, and I want to start with you, Mark, because I know we don't have a lot of time with you. So I'll let you go ahead and lead us in to this topic.
All right, thanks. Tinfoil hat moment for me. Um, because when it comes to this, I say it's not just it falls on Sirianni. I think it all falls back down to one Howard Roseman. Um, because one Howard Roseman, and when he's calculating doing numbers, he's Howie to me because he's a wizard with the numbers. But when he's making football decisions, like real football decisions, he's Howard
Yeah.
because he's trash. But anyway, one Howard Roseman, he this dude, he controls this team in every aspect, in my opinion. This is why it's a tinfoil hat moment to me because I feel as though Nick Sirianni is nothing more than a shadow coach. Like he is the puppet coach, and Howard is the coach in the shadows. And Howard is saying, I want this team to play like this. I want this team to play this defense. And this is the key thing for me that points to this, in my opinion. The fact that we are running the exact same style of defense through multiple coordinators and two different head coaches goes back to the GM. Like we have been running a Vic Fangio style defense through three coordinators and 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 two different head coaches. Like, come on. Like something has to give at some point, man. That is not the coaches making that decision. That is somebody above them making that decision, and you have to roll with it as the coach. And also, isn't it kind of funny how similar the Doug Peterson experience played out to the Nick Sirianni experience? Doug Peterson actually won the Super Bowl, and then he wanted to pick his coaches and everything that he wasn't allowed to. That didn't work out, and he wanted to pick his coaches. And then and the there's a fallout between the coach and the quarterback and the GM or whatever, and now the coach is out of there. And now Nick Sirianni experience. He goes to the Super Bowl, loses, and now he doesn't get to pick his coordinators and all that stuff. And now there's an issue again between coach and quarterback, and like everybody's unhappy. And now the coach in this experience is trying to pull for something that he can control as the head coach. So he's like, I'm going to interfere in what Kellen Moore is saying, because what else can I do here? I could call a timeout on the field. That's it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he's not allowed to do much. So I feel like he's fighting for some level of control because he really doesn't have any. And I'm not saying it's a good thing. I'm just saying I think that's what it is, and that's what is oftentimes playing out before our eyes when it comes to Nick Sirianni.
I like that. I like that take. Because I could see where he's trying to fight for some type of control in some aspect of it. But I think where the issue is, that's where he's starting to make himself look bad.
Yeah.
When you're trying to put yourself in that position where you're saying, like, oh, that was I was the one who called that play in such a bad decision. Because on the field, it is Nick Sirianni who says, oh, let's go for it. Let's leave points on the field. And I feel like that's him making that decision when you should like do the obvious, go get the points. So I mean, I understand
9 points on the field to be exact.
Yeah. So I feel like, and that's where he's messing himself up, because there is a way where he can make himself look better in that position. Because if the offense is screwing up, you can blame the OC. But when you start butting in, that's where you have to. We start like, yo, what is you doing, Nick? I mean, so it makes Kellen seem better and Nick look worse when you can probably just leave it all on him, because that's what I would do.
And if the OC does a great job, you still look like a genius, head coach. So just roll with it. Like, let it rock. Like, you know what I'm saying? Be out there, manage the clock. Like, be the overseer. That's what
Yes.
you're supposed to be as the head coach, not like micromanaging and interjecting in areas that you really don't need to.
I don't think he has a good feel for the game flow in general.
Nah.
He just makes really stupid calls at the wrong moments, and that's what makes him stupid, obviously. 'Cause, I mean, like, it's just, if you see that this is a problem and you're not getting, say, for instance, just using examples, run game isn't working. Obviously, just an example, it hasn't been happening this season. So you just try to adjust your game. There's not enough. Let me start over altogether. He shouldn't be involved in the play calling. Period.
No, he can't call plays.
You can't call plays. There's been a history of making stupid play calls. Now we have a legitimate play caller. He should just get the hell out the way. Let that man cook. Sirianni wants to do too much cute shit at bad times. He wants to run like whatever that speed option was on the all that it's like whatever the hell that was. He wants to run shit like that instead of just going with the common sense play. He wants to follow analytics, try to get the highlight reel instead of just going with what works, what's historically worked. And that's just pounding the damn ball and on third and short, fourth and short. Run that shit up the gut.
Mhm.
It's, he doesn't want to do that. He'll try to make the play. He'll try to call some ridiculous play that will lead to a failure, and then he'll go in front of the media like, "Yeah, that was me," and that's the problem. That's not your job.
Right.
That's what you're forced for.
Absolutely.
We
Absolutely.
don't need you to say that's on me because we need you to be doing other things. We need Kellen Moore to be saying that's on me if he calls a stupid play. Sirianni doesn't have plays at all. Sirianni just needs to be overseeing.
Mhm.
Right. Now,
That's his CEO coach. Not
question
calling plays.
question for you. Do you think that if there was a more intelligent or more savvy coach as the head coach, do you think that Howard would be able to dictate the things that he wants to dictate to that person?
No, because he couldn't do it with Andy.
Right.
He couldn't do it with Andy. I doubt if we had a guy like Belichick, which I hope we don't get.
He rolled over immediately. Yeah.
He couldn't do that. He couldn't do that with, and I think that's the reason why the coaches that they've been bringing on since Andy are like first year NFL coaches who are
Right.
trying to break as a head coach in the game.
Easily manipulatable.
Because they're not bringing anybody in with a lot of experience. You're not, because they want somebody that they can push around.
Right.
So I think that's the problem. That is indeed a problem in Philadelphia, and why
And
they have been bringing in more experienced head coaches.
And that's to me, that's ultimately what it comes down to. That's why I say it comes down to Howard Roseman, because they want to keep bringing in people that they can push around versus bringing a competent person that can do the job. They want to bring in somebody that they can push around and dictate to, and they need to let go of that level of control. I mean,
Yes.
so
He has to. He has to swallow his pride and just concede. I mean, that's part of being the head coach. I mean, you have to delegate responsibility. You can't be in everyone's face or control everything at all times.
Absolutely.
Don't brag it that way. You're going to burn out. You have to let people do their jobs. That's his job. The head coach is to hold everybody accountable to their jobs.
Right.
Not to run this play. No, just make sure everybody's on point, doing what they need to do.
Right.
Right. Coach needs to do.
Well, I agree with you, gentlemen, and I'm so grateful to have Mark on the show. I know you have to get going. We look forward to what you guys have going on at the eye test. We'll make sure we'll leave you a link to of your show in the description. So our fans after they're done watching.
Give it a plug. Plug your show.
Yeah. All right, man. You can check us out at the Eye Test Network on Facebook. You can check us out on YouTube as well. It's the dope logo, the black logo with black, green, and red. The dope logo. You'll see it. Anyway. But yeah, that's the Eye Test Network. But I definitely want to appreciate you guys and thank you for having me on. I really like what you guys are doing here. I like the takes that you give, and I like this. I like the setup of your screen as well, man. It's dope. I appreciate it. Thank you guys for having me. And continued success.
Thank you.
Thank you, and come back anytime.
Yeah.
All right, appreciate it, man. I really do.
I want to say this to you all. We can't all be starters, but no one else can tell you exactly how or what you can do but Boulevard. Please take us away.
Hey, can I give this one piece of advice before you get out? One thing that I always say at the end of our shows is I want you guys to remember this. When it comes to the sports business, it's only entertainment. It's called sports entertainment for a reason. It's not an actual sport. It's sports entertainment. They can manipulate it if they want to. So if you're out there making bets, just think, which way does the NFL want to see this go and make your bets accordingly?
Listen to me, man. All right. I don't say anything else. Hit the bench.